Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. My name is Ujjwal Kumar Soni and today I'm going to teach you about setting up a client VPN. So this is going to be a hands-on lab. So let's first understand what is client VPN. So it's a fully managed remote access VPN solution used by your workforce to securely access resources within both AWS and your on-premises network. It is fully elastic. It automatically scales up or down based on the demand. You don't have to worry about anything. Just set it up and it will automatically scale up. So when migrating applications to AWS, your users access them the way before, during, and after the move. AWS Client VPN, including the software client, supports OpenVPN protocol. So today, like in our hands-on lab, we are gonna set up using the OpenVPN. So these are some of the benefits. These benefits I took it from the AWS website, so you can also find the same over there. So first is advanced authentication. So many organizations require multi-factor authentication and federated authentication from their VPN solution. Okay, AWS client supports these and other authentication methods. Next is elastic. So as we saw in the previous slide that it automatically scales up and down. You don't need to worry about anything and it's kind of a pay-as-you-go cloud VPN service that elastically scales up or down based on the user demand. Okay. Third one is remote access. Unlike on-premise VPN services, AWS Client VPN allows users to connect to AWS and on-premises network using the single VPN connection. Okay, so using this single VPN connection, you can connect to both on-premise and AWS. Next, yeah, and final one is fully managed. So it is a fully managed service provided by AWS and it automatically takes care of the deployment, capacity provisioning, and service updates while you monitor all your connections from a single console. Okay. These are some of the use cases of client VPN. So first one is quickly scale remote access. So unexpected events can require many of your employees to work remotely. This creates a spike in VPN connection and traffic that can reduce performance or availability for your users. AWS Client VPN is elastic and automatically scales up to handle peak demand. When the spike has passed, it scales down, so you don't need to pay anything for the unused capacity. Second is access applications during migration. Okay, so AWS Client VPN provides users with secure access to applications both on on-premise and in AWS. This is helpful during cloud migration when application move from on-premises locations to the cloud. With Client VPN, users don't have to change the way they access their applications during or after the migration. Okay, so they can access the application using this Client VPN channel. Third one is integrate with your authentication and MDM system. So AWS Client VPN supports authentication with Microsoft Active Directory using AWS Directory Services, certificate-based authentication, and federated authentication using SAML 2.0 to facilitate these scenarios when using the AWS OpenVPN client software. Okay. AWS Client VPN works with mobile device management solutions to reject devices that do not comply with the policies. Last one is securely connecting to IoT devices. So create encrypted connections between IoT devices and Amazon Virtual Private Cloud (VPC) resources using certificate-based authentication. So this kind of the architecture we are going to design at the moment in our hands-on lab, where you can see uh, this is the client VPN endpoint that users are going to connect. Okay, and this is a network interface. So when you set up a client VPN, you need to specify a subnet. Okay, you need to select a VPN and a subnet where you need to place this client VPN interface. Okay, So from here, if users are going to ping this private VPN interface, then any of the EC2 instance that lies in the private subnet, they will receive a response. Again, you need to set up security groups and NACAL to make sure you have access to this. So we'll see those in the hands-on lab. Okay, and this is my internet gateway and internet, right? So these are the steps we are gonna follow. Okay, so first one we're gonna be generating server and client certificates and keys. Second is create a VPN client endpoint and associating target network. We'll add an authorization rule for the VPC and we are going to provide access to the internet. Launch, yeah, we are going to launch an EC2 instance. We are going to verify security group requirements, download the client VPN endpoint configuration file, and connect to the client endpoint. We'll ping a private instance of AWS EC2. Okay, so we are not going to follow exactly the same manner the steps. First one, what I'll do is I'll create a client VPN endpoint in AWS because it can take up to 20 minutes to set up. So once we create that, we'll work on the other steps, and once we if once we finish the other steps, by that time the client VPN endpoint will be created. So stay tuned with me and log into your AWS console. Okay, so I'm logged into my AWS management console. So I'm currently in selected Canada Central region. Okay, and yep, you can head over to the VPC, and over on the left hand side you will find client. Sorry, you can search for client VPN endpoints. Okay, so click on client VPN endpoint. Okay, we'll give it a name like. Okay, so here we need to give the cider block for as our sub from our subnet. Okay, so let me head over back to the VPN and check the cider block of the subnet that I'm gonna put it over here. So I'll select this subnet probably. Okay, so I'll be selecting this subnet CIDR block. Okay, next is this certificate ARN. Okay, we'll use mutual authentication. So here you will require to provide the certificate. So let's first create the certificate. 1 minute. We'll create the certificate first. Okay. Okay. So the certificate steps are already over here. The link is already present in the comment, like in the description of this YouTube video as well as in the PPT. So number one, we need to download Easy RSA. Okay. So we need to download this. We'll select win64.zip. So here I have downloaded the easy RSA. All right. So let's execute some of the commands from. We'll need to navigate to this directory probably. So this is my command prompt. Now I will have to copy, like execute. First of all, I need to execute this batch file. Okay. Let's first check if the batch file is available here or is it available in the bin folder. Okay. Yep, the file is available over here, so we are gonna execute it now. So I'm going to execute it like this. Okay. So I'll just execute it like this. So this is an easy RSA cell. You need to execute the commands one by one. So this is going to initialize a new PKI environment. Okay. This is going to build a new certificate authority. Okay. So do like this. So this is going to create a new certificate authority. Okay. So we are going to put it as VPN or maybe test server host. Okay. And we are done with this. Now we'll generate a certificate key using this command. So it has generated certificate keys. Let's wait until it comes back. All right, it's asking for confirmation and we are good. It has created the server certificate. Okay, now we need to generate a client certificate. Okay, so this has generated a client certificate. Okay, so now we need to exit it. Okay, but before exiting, let's check the folder to see if the file is available there. If it has generated the client and server certificate. So you need to go into the PKI directory and issued. Here you can see client and server, right? So this clearly means that it has generated the certificate. Okay. We also have a CA, which is a chain certificate. Yeah, everything is in place. So we'll be executing now. Okay. Okay, we are good now. Hmm. So we'll copy all these certificates into a custom folder. All right. So let's head back over here and we need to be in the one second. We need to head back in this folder probably under program files and easy RSA. Okay. All right. We can execute the commands now. Yep. All the files are successfully copied. Okay. So we're good now. We can double check over here in the custom folder. As you can see, we already have all the keys, right? Okay. So now uploading these keys, the certificates to AWS Certificate Manager. Okay, so there are two ways to do that. One is using the command line. using CLI, and the other is using the normal way. Okay, normal way using AWS Management Console. So I'm going to show you how you can do this using Management Console. Okay, so let's let me open up the certificate manager. Okay, I'm in the same region. Okay, same availability. We're gonna request a certificate, request a public certificate. Okay, see, you can also request a certificate if you want to, but since we already have a certificate, we are gonna simply import it. Okay, so there are three things it requires. So it needs three things. One is certificate body, private key, and certificate chain. Okay, so I'm gonna head back to this folder, to a custom folder. I'm first gonna get this file. Okay, so just right click on it and maybe let me open it with Notepad. Okay, all right. So just copy this begin and end certificate. Let's confirm what is the exact command that it is doing. Okay, it is also getting the chain certificate over there. Okay, so we can do the same. Sorry, just copy this content, paste. Next, we are gonna do with the private. Okay, so next file we are gonna take this server.key. So click on open with, and we're gonna open it in the notepad. Okay, copy this content and head back to this ACM, paste in the second box. Okay, see, the certificate chain is optional, but I'll prefer to do that. So here is the certificate chain, paste it. All right, and click on next, click on next, and import. So this will successfully import our certificate over here. We can head back to the client VPN endpoint and see if we can see the certificate over here. Maybe we need to redo this process again. Okay, I'll click on create VPN endpoint, CP VPN endpoint. Okay, and of course we need the uh, CIDR block of that particular VPC. So we can put this one. Okay. All right. Next is the certificate that we already put in. Select this certificate and use mutual authentication. Click on this certificate ARN. We don't need to do this, any of this. If you want to put a DNS IP, you can put it over here, but that's optional. Select VPC, select the security group. Okay. So I'll select the maybe the default security group over here, and the VPN port. You can keep everything as default. You don't need this. So, yep, let me just check. Yeah. So we're good now. Okay, click on create VPN endpoint. It's gonna create the endpoint now. So you will see this pending associate for some time, okay, because it is going to still the process is going on. It may take around 20 minutes to complete this process, okay. So meanwhile, we'll follow the other steps. Let's look at the step list. So we have completed this. We cleared the endpoint. We still need to associate the target network, add authorization rule in the VPC, and yeah. Meanwhile, we can what we can do is let's work on the client endpoint part. Okay. So we need to download OpenVPN software. Okay. So uh, okay. So you can download it from this website based on your operating system. You can download it. Okay. But I already have downloaded it, so I will install it right now. Okay, so this is the setup. You need while installing, do a custom installation and select the OpenSSL utilities. Okay, don't do the automated installation. Always prefer custom installation and select this option. Otherwise, you may have to install this again. Click on install now, and it's gonna install it in a while. Okay, meanwhile, while it is installing, okay, it already got installed. Okay, it has got installed. So the next thing you got to do is the edit this downloaded client. This is the client configuration file that you need to edit. Okay, so I will open up in Notepad. Okay, so this is the uh, so this is the part that you need to modify. Okay, one is this. So that's it. Like after you make these two changes, save the file. Okay, and as you can see, the OpenVPN GUI is already running. You can click on import file. Okay, I'll move back to the C drive. Okay, and here is my custom VPN demo. I'll click on this. So yeah, since I did this demo earlier, the config file is already there. You can click on yes to replace it. Okay, so it has now imported the config file. So just to verify, let's look at the config. Yeah, this one looks correct. So we are good. See, the other way you can do download the client configuration is click on the download client configuration. Okay, so it's gonna download the configuration file completely. Okay. Okay, so our client VPN endpoint is completed. If you see this pending associate, then that means that we need to associate a target network. So click on associate a target network, select a VPC, and select a subnet. I'll choose CA Central 1A and I will associate a target network. Okay. All right. We have a conflict over here. There is an overlap. Okay, let me sort that out. All right, so there was a problem. Here we need to provide the client-sided block, the client from which we are connecting to, like our computers. Okay, so like when you create a client endpoint, right? Here you need to mention the client endpoint. So currently I've chosen a cider range which I'm sure I'm not using. All right. So let's try to now associate target network. Okay. So select a VPC. Here we are going to select central 1A and associate. All right. The association is going on at the moment. Right, as you can see, it's associating right now. So we got to wait for some time. But meanwhile, we can try tweaking the security group to see. And yeah, of course, you got to change the authorization rule over here. Okay, so the destination network, right? Okay, I'm gonna grant it to all IP addresses. Okay, and also you can grant it for a specific user here. Okay, so using the access group, but we are not going to look at that. Simply click on add authorization rule and we are done. Okay. So it is showing us pending associate at the moment. So we got to wait for some time until this gets completed. Okay. So remember guys, one thing, like when you put this cider block over here, it's not related to your subnet or VPC. This is your client, your machine's cider block from which you are connecting. Okay. So until this completes, let's boot up some EC2 instances. Okay. First of all, let's look at the private subnets. Which subnets are we having defined as a private? Let's look at the route table over here. This is going to the internet gateway. What about this? Right, this is also going to the internet gateway. All right, it's fine. What we can do is the 1A, right? Let's make it as a private. Or else what we can do is let's launch the instance and we are gonna ping it with the private IP address. Okay, so I'm gonna uh, EC2. Okay, and I'm going to select a simple one, free tier eligible one. Okay, that's okay, fine. T2 micro key pair, we don't require that at the moment. We can create a new security group for now, right? And let's launch an instance. Yeah, proceed without keypad. That's okay. One second. Let's look at the network configuration. Yeah, we got to hook it up in 1A, central 1A. All right, that's fine. Yeah, we can proceed with the creation now. Okay, we have the instance created. Right, let's look at the private IP address. This is the private IP address we're gonna ping to. First of all, let's look at the security groups. We got an inbound for SSH. That's okay. Well, let's add one more over here. So all ICMP and from anywhere. Okay. Save this rule. Let's look at the NACL for 1A. So the network ACL says allow and outbound rule is also allow. Okay, we're good now. Let's check our VPC. Okay, it is still saying depending as a pending associate. Let's wait until it completes the associate. Let's take a break and connect back in 5-10 minutes. I'm going to pause this video for until the association gets complete. All right, so now as you can see, the state of our VPN endpoint is available and the association is also completed. The state is showing as associated. We already configured the authorization rule to allow all IPs. Okay, so let's now try to connect from our OpenVPN connection. Okay, so it also creates a default route table as is like this. Okay, so this is the cider block of your VPC, which is 1A. I mean the subnet, right? So 16.0.20. Okay. So it is exactly identical to the cider block of our VPC. Okay, not our subnet. So the traffic goes to the VPC. Okay, so now I will try to connect. So as you can see, downloaded client config is now connected. Okay, this is the assigned IP. So if you look at the assigned IP, it is from this cider block. Okay, 10.5 01. Okay, so now time to ping. Let's head back to the instances that we have launched. Let's try to ping the private IP address of this instance. Okay, right. So ping. As you can see, we are getting the response, right? That means the connection is completely established, and using the OpenVPN, we are now able to connect our instance, which is located in the same subnet, okay, wherein our ENI is created. So basically, from our network configuration, it creates this one ENI, okay, Elastic Network Interface in this subnet, which is 1A, okay. So I've learned another instance in separate availability zone, which is CS Central 1B. Remember, our ENI is created in CS Central 1A. Okay, I learned one more instance in this. I'll try to ping the private IP address and see if we can ping it. Okay, so ping and this IP address. As you can see, we are able to ping it, right? So that means it doesn't matter if you are having multiple availability zones in a separate in a region, and it doesn't matter if you have your instance is created in any of those. You will be able to access those. Okay. And apart from that, I would like to show you a connection. Uh, let's say if you want to find out how many connections are established to your uh, VPN endpoint, then you can come to know from over here. As you can see, I have two connections. Okay, one is terminated and one is active. So again, if I terminate this connection like this, let's reconnect it. Okay. So again, if I reconnect, then I will have one more entry over here. So we'll refresh it and no, we don't have it. Let me disconnect it and again try to reconnect. So reconnect is like it uses the same, maybe it is not disconnecting it. I'll connect it again. All right, so you can see, although it shows two active connections, but we only have one active at the moment. So it will terminate it. Okay, so this is how you can you can see who is connected to your VPN endpoint, and you can also terminate the connection from over here as well if you want to. Let's try to do that. So I'll terminate the last connection, terminate, and let me terminate the other one as well. So I don't want to keep any of the active connections. Yep, it says it's terminating. Okay, now if we'll try to ping it, let's try to ping our IP. It is still pinging, but of course it's gonna terminate the trial connection in a minute. Okay, maybe it is taking time in the back end, but it will definitely disconnect it. We did try to disconnect the last one. Okay, so maybe there is some reconnection logic inside this. It's not allowing us to disconnect, but I just showed you how you can trace out the connections from here. Okay, so just to recap, remember when you create a client endpoint, this is your IP address, your sidle block, a client computer from which you are connecting. Okay, so don't put any VPN or subnet sidle blocks over here. Okay, and apart from that, if you have any DNS IP address, you can provide it over here. Next thing is remember to associate your target network from here. Make sure you have the authorization rules over here. Let's say if you don't have any authorization rule, then what it's gonna do is it's not allow you to authorize. Okay, so just remember to keep this over here. Next, make sure your instances are having uh, a rule added to the security group. Okay, so this rule is must ICMP from this resource any IP address. Okay, so if you do these things, if you follow these rules, follow all these steps, then you're good. You will be able to establish a client VPN. So that's it for this session, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Do like and subscribe my channel. See you again in the next video.